She seems more intense. Real heroes, not actual size. How's it, everybody? Kiakahi Matsumoto here, presenting to you all another honest film review of 2018. This time around, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, before I get into the review, for question of the video, what were your thoughts on the newest installment in the Ant-Man franchise? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or were you just indifferent to it and could have gone without it? To summarize, this film was a step up from the original in many ways, but in other ways, I personally felt it did worse. Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly returned to reprise their roles as Scott Lang, aka Ant-Man, and Hope Van Dyne. Only this time, Hope is taking up the mantle of the Wasp, one that was passed down from her mother to her. Also returning from the first film are Hope's dad, Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man and creator of the Pym particle and the Ant-Man tech, Luis, Lang's former cellmate, and the leader of the ex-con security crew, Dave and Kurt, members of the ex-con security crew, Scott's daughter Cassie, Scott's ex-wife Maggie, and Jim Paxton, all of whom are portrayed by Michael Douglas, Michael Pena, Tip T.I. Harris, David, I can't pronounce his last name, I'm sorry, please don't roast me for it, Abby Ryder Fortston, Judy Greer, and Bobby Cannavale. The film is set 2 years after the events of Captain America's Civil War, and Hope and Hank restart the search for Hope's mother, Janet Van Dyne, who in the film is played by Michelle Pfeiffer. Janet got lost in the quantum realm, and she got trapped there when Hope was a little girl. Scott gets dragged into it after he subconsciously receives a message from her, since he had been to and from the quantum realm himself in the first Ant-Man film. While Hank and Hope build a machine that will allow them to get in and out in a similar fashion, the two, and Scott by association, are pursued by a woman named Ava Starr, who is portrayed in the film by Hannah John Kamen. Ava is called Ghost because she has painful molecular instability that allows her to phase right through objects, and she needs their tech in order to stabilize her condition. She is aided to an extent by Bill Foster, who is portrayed in the film by Lawrence Fishburne. He happens to be an old partner of Hank's, and he is working with her to help stabilize her condition. Also in pursuit is Sonny Birch, played by Walton Goggins, a criminal-type person who is after the same tech for profit. A running gag in the film is Scott's parole officer, Jimmy Woo, who I honestly felt out of place in there, but who is portrayed by Randall Park, and Jimmy keeps returning to Scott's house over and over and over again when he suspects that Scott has broken house arrest, and that adds, it's pretty funny, but the joke kind of does go stale after a while. The good of this film is the action and combat sequences are decent. The heart of the film revolves around family, kind of like how it did to the first one, but with a lesser extent in the first one. The special effects have been done well. It's definitely funnier than the first one. Luis is less annoying, and he's actually funny for one. The film also reveals more of Hank Pym's past, and it also demonstrates how past mistakes can always catch up to you, no matter how much time has passed. The shrinking/growing tech that Hank Pym makes is also put to more applicable use, ranging from buildings to vehicles, which I thought was neat and practical, and comical in certain instances where it doesn't work as intended. And while it doesn't show too much of it, it does explore the romantic relationship between Scott and Hope and Hank and Janet, respectively, which I thought was kind of neat, considering that I know the history of the characters. However, there are more than a few drawbacks. For starters, while there is a distinct plot, there are quite a few number of subplots that don't really get fully explored. This film also has the same problem that Deadpool 2 had. It doesn't have a clear and concise villain. Instead, the title seems to be split among 4 different people, 2 primary antagonists and 2 secondary. In addition, while it is definitely funnier than the first Ant-Man film, the humor is still kind of hit and miss, and some of the verbal exchanges between characters are just corny and cheesy. Other complaints are Luis is still annoying, and he still tries too hard to be funny, at least for me anyway. Scott repeatedly redeems himself one minute and does something dumb the next, which gets him right back to square one with Hope and Hank. I mean, come on, dude, do you ever learn? What are you, stupid? And the ex-con crew honestly felt like they didn't really have much place in this film, and they still bumbled their way out of trouble like a couple of stooges. While it was still fun and enjoyable, and I would recommend seeing it, especially if you're a fan of the MCU, it's For me personally, it's really not worth being in a huge hurry to see this one, as it was mediocre at best. I personally give this film a score of 7 out of 10. Nice job to director Peyton Reed, but after Avengers Infinity War, you got some serious work to do if you want to make something even remotely that well received. Anyway, that's it for my review of Ant-Man and the Wasp. I hope this answers any and all questions you may have. If not, feel free to shoot me a comment down below. And again, you don't have to agree with my opinion. You just have to know what I saw and observed. Next time on my film reviews, Drac and the Pack are going on a vacation with monstrous results. Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. So anyway, have a good day or evening, depending on what time zone you're in. Stay safe. Good night, everybody.